I get it. You've watched the market. You've seen homes go under contract in a week or even a few days. You've heard the stories. Multiple offers, over asking price, buyers waiving contingencies, and you're thinking the market is doing the work for me. Why do I need an agent? I hear that a lot. And I want to give you an honest answer. Not a sales pitch, just the truth. Hi, I'm Dee Braaten. I've been selling real estate in Ridgefield and the surrounding areas, including Fairfield and Westchester counties, for over 27 years. And today, I want to talk about seller representation, what it actually means, why it matters more than people realize, and what I've seen happen when sellers go it alone in a market that looks easier than it is. Let's start with the assumption that gets most people into trouble, that a hot market means an easy sale. Yes. Inventory is tight. Yes. Well-priced homes in Ridgefield are moving. But here's what people forget. A busy market isn't a forgiving market. The stakes are actually higher, not lower. You've got more buyers competing for your home, which sounds great. But that also means more offers to evaluate, more terms to understand, more decisions to make quickly under pressure. And if you make the wrong call on price, on terms, on the wrong buyer, you don't always get a second chance, or it may not look the same. I've seen sellers leave real estate money on the table in a seller's market because they didn't fully understand the offer in front of them. Not because buyers weren't willing to pay more, but because nobody was guiding them through how to analyze the terms, negotiate strategically, or look at the numbers from different angles. Let's talk about pricing, or more importantly, what I like to call positioning. Because this is where I see many well-intentioned sellers make their most expensive mistake. In a market like this, it's easy for sellers to assume their home is worth more than it is, or sometimes less. And both can cost you money. If a home is positioned too low, you may create activity quickly, but you may also leave money on the table before negotiations even begin. If a home is positioned too high, even in a strong market, buyers become cautious. The showing activity slows, days on market increase, and buyers start asking themselves, what's wrong with it? And once a property sits, the seller begins losing leverage and negotiating position. Proper positioning is not about chasing a number or pulling a zestimate online. It's a strategy. It's understanding buyer psychology, timing, inventory, absorption, pending sales, and what is happening specifically in your neighborhood, not just the overall market headlines. The goal is to position a home where it creates urgency, confidence, and competition, while still maximizing value for you, the seller. That comes from experience, market knowledge, and understanding how buyers behave in real time. After 27 years in Ridgefield and the surrounding towns, I can tell you there is both an art and a strategy to positioning a home correctly, and it can make a significant difference in the outcome. Some years ago, I was hired to sell a home where the seller had already paid more for the property than the market truly supported at that time. Her goal wasn't to make a profit. She simply hoped to break even. And in fairness, the home had a lot going for it. Great location, beautiful views, real charm and character. But the market was shifting, and not in a favorable direction. Despite strong effort, consistent marketing, and time on the market, it became one of those situations where the pricing and the market reality were out of alignment. I ultimately carried that listing for over a year before it sold, for significantly less than where we started. It was a tough reminder that even the most beautiful homes are still subject to market forces, timing, and positioning. And when those elements aren't aligned from the start, it becomes very difficult to recover value later. Now, let's talk about what happens once the offers come in, because this is where it gets real. In a competitive market, you might get multiple offers. That sounds wonderful, but if you've never been on the side of the table before, it can actually be overwhelming. You've got purchase prices, deposit amounts, contingency periods, inspection waivers, mortgage commitments, closing timelines, and they're all slightly different in every offer. Which one is actually the strongest? Which buyer is actually qualified to close? Which terms protect you and which ones expose you? Most people look at the highest number and stop there. But I've watched transactions fall apart at the finish line because the highest offer came from a buyer who wasn't truly ready or who had contingencies buried in the contract that the seller never fully understood. When I'm at the table with you, I'm reading every line. I'm asking questions about the buyer's financing. I'm comparing the net to you, not just the offer price, but what you actually walk away with after everything. And I'm telling you the truth, even if the truth is, this isn't the offer you want to accept. One of my key roles in this process is making sure my sellers are clear on what truly matters to them before we ever get to reviewing offers. Because once offers are on the table, everything moves fast and decisions need to be made with clarity, not emotion or confusion. So I ask very direct questions up front. Is price the most important factor? Or is it certainty of closing? Is it a firm closing date critical? Or is it flexibility more valuable? Are we prioritizing fewer contingencies, stronger financing, or simply the highest net outcome? Every offer comes with a different combination of terms, not just a number. And those differences can significantly impact the seller's risk, timeline, and overall result. My job is to make sure we understand those priorities in advance so when offers come in, we're not guessing. We're evaluating everything through a clear, intentional lens. There's another piece of this that doesn't get talked about enough: legal exposure. Real estate contracts are legally binding documents. Disclosure requirements, inspection timelines, contingency deadlines. If you miss one, it can cost you significantly. I've seen deals fall apart over a deadline that slipped by 3 days. I've seen sellers get into legal situations post-closing over disclosures they didn't know they were required to make. This is not meant to scare you. It's meant to be honest with you. This is not a process that punishes people for bad intentions. It punishes people for not knowing what they don't know. And there's a lot to know. I've done this for 27 years and I know what to look for. I know what to ask. And when something unusual comes up, because something always comes up, I know when to call in additional support. That's what representation means and having a team. Let me give you some data because I think it's worth saying out loud. According to the National Association of Realtors, in 2025, just 5% of home sales were for sale by owner, an all-time low. At the same time, agent-assisted homes sold for a median price of $425,000 compared to $360,000 for homes sold without an agent. That's not a small gap. And remember, that's in a market where inventory was still tight and buyers were still competing. 64% of FSBOs, or for sale by owner sellers, said that they did not achieve their desired sale price. Nearly half said they wish they had priced their home differently. And about 1 in 5 ended up hiring an agent anyway. After weeks of frustration, missed opportunities, and in some cases, real financial loss. I'm not sharing those numbers to make anyone feel bad about considering it. I'm just sharing them because I think you deserve to make this decision with full information. Here's what I actually do when I take on a listing, because I think a lot of sellers don't fully understand the scope of it. It starts before we ever go live on the market. I begin by making sure all of the details are aligned, from the town records to the field card, so there are no surprises later in the process. It's about making sure everything is clean, accurate, and ready before a buyer ever steps through the door. Then I walk through your home with fresh eyes, not as the person who has lived there and loved it, but as a buyer seeing it for the first time. And I'll tell you honestly, what should be addressed before we even list. Not because the home isn't beautiful, but because familiarity hides things that buyers will notice immediately. Presentation matters enormously. The homes that are properly prepared, thoroughly positioned, and professionally photographed don't just attract more attention, they consistently sell faster and for stronger results. From there, we build the marketing strategy. That includes a professional staging consultation so the home is showcased at its very best, professional photography that captures its true feel, and a multiple listing service or MLS launch that may include coming soon or that may immediately expose it to every buyer's agent in the region. And beyond that, targeting exposure to the right buyers, not just people scrolling online, but qualified buyers who are actively in the market and ready to make a move. I know this market and I know who's looking in it. Then there's the negotiation. Then there's the inspection period. Then there's the appraisal. Then the walkthrough. Then the closing. Every one of those stages has its own set of decisions, deadlines, and potential complications. I'm with you through it, all of it. Before a home ever hits the market, I take my sellers through what I call my 4 Ps: purge, pack, paint, and polish. It starts with purge, because every home carries extra stuff that buyers don't need to see. The goal is to remove anything that distracts from the space itself so the home feels open, intentional, and easy to walk through. Then we pack, thoughtfully clearing out what isn't needed for daily living. Not empty, but simplified, so buyers can actually see the size, flow, and function of each room. Next is paint. Small updates, neutral tones, freshening walls where needed. Simple changes that have a major impact on how current and move-in ready the home feels. And finally, polish. This is the finishing layer. Deep, clean, and attention to detail, lighting, presentation, and making sure everything shows at its absolute best. When a home goes through this process, before photos and launch, everything changes. It doesn't just show better, it positions better. And in this market, positioning is what drives both attention and results. I want to say one more thing before I wrap up, and it's this. Selling your home is not just a transaction. For most people, it is the single largest financial move of their lives. The equity in that home, the years of payments, the improvements, the life you built there, that's real money. And it deserves to be handled with real care. I am not a gopher. I don't just put a sign in the yard and hope for the best. I'm your advocate, your strategist, and your honest voice in a process that can move very fast and feel overwhelming. I've been doing this for 27 years because I genuinely love it. I love the people, I love the problem solving, and I love being the person who makes something complicated feel manageable. If you're thinking about selling in Ridgefield, in Danbury, anywhere in this market, I'd love to have a real conversation with you about what you're trying to accomplish and whether I'm the right person to help you get there. I'm Dee Braaten with Keller Williams. It's a smart move. I'll see you in the next one.